Meet Rutvik and Amisha, who spent 13 years in Canada. It went from
And he was completely stubborn about the fact that there is no way I'm ever going back to India. Canada is home.
to saying this.
One thing I can say for certainty that this is one of the best decisions I've made so far.
They talked about their pragmatic decision process and planning their return to India.
I still took 3 years to decide on whether to move or not. First decision I made wasn't to move to India. The first decision I made is that I want to start looking at other options. I'm coming to India to see the problems. I'm looking for issues that I can come across kind of thing now, right? Indian work culture.
Yeah.
And that's what was a big con in my list, pretty much. The pay. One thing I noticed this 2 years back is when I changed my mindset when I came back, that the mindset we had of India was 15 years old, right? You go there first, get a job. Let's see, what struggles you actually face and everything.
Check out our previous conversation with Amisha in the link here. Also, Desi Return Inner Circle WhatsApp group could be interesting to you, where you can network with like-minded people and navigate this journey with a support peer group. Initially, you are someone who is not so keen, and then one wedding kind of changed, and you got on board, and then want to give it a try. So, want to hear from you, like how is life in India since it's been about a year, and how is it going for you?
No offense, but one of the best decisions I ever made, I would say, after our marriage, of course. But no, I mean, like, no doubt, like I'm a more calculative person, right? So basically, there are a lot of calculations going in my mind. As you said, that at first we had other objectives, other goals, and everything. So I wasn't looking around, but when we reached that, we felt, as in I felt that what, like maybe this is something that I want to think of. I still took 3 years to decide on whether to move or not. But we'll talk about that later. Right now, to answer your question, it's been a year. It's still a little soon to say everything. But one thing I can say for certainty that this is one of the best decisions I've made so far.
Okay.
I think and I just mentioned it as in like, it's kind of like a huge load taken off my shoulder kind of thing. There are a lot of responsibilities there, no doubt about that. There's a lot of things that you have to do. And I had no complaints to do all that ourselves kind of thing. But once you come back, like this is where we grew up kind of thing. This is what we are familiar with. One thing I noticed, and I'm pretty sure that she may have mentioned this as well, is that sense of belongingness.
Yeah.
At one point we were missing that for some reason. Like we love to celebrate every festival, every small little things here and there. At the same time, the economy, the culture changes that's been happening in Canada. Once we reached our goal, I see that, yeah, I mean, is this worth it? That was the first question I asked myself.
Yeah.
And even before India, like I actually did my thorough research for other countries as well to make sure that this is not an emotional decision kind of thing, right? Because there are a lot of people who struggles with, okay, is this an emotional decision? Is it more realistic decision or not kind of thing, right? So at one point, I would say it was more 80-20, 80% like I made it realistic, 20% it was still emotional. Of course, like how cannot be, right?
Yeah.
But almost a year, and I would say zero regrets whatsoever. Everything has been amazing. I feel not just for us, our friends and family, oh my God, like their lives has changed a lot. My in-laws are here, my parents are here. And I feel that they talk about this a lot as well, that their quality of life has changed as well. Basically, just because we are here, it's more interaction. They don't have to wait like a year or every couple of years for a month to see us kind of thing. So overall, yeah, absolutely amazing.
That's fantastic to hear.
You know how he talked about 80% calculated,
Yes.
20% emotional. So that 80 is him and the 20 emotional is me.
Yeah.
Before he walks you through the entire journey of all the calculation and mathing he did. So at least the audience is clear. It's 80% calculation, 20% emotional.
I think, but it's a very fair point, right? I mean, you don't make decisions emotionally, which makes it very hard for it to be successful. You have to have a balance, for sure. You need to think through all the steps because it's a big decision for any family to make. And you should think through all those aspects. And definitely there'll be some emotional aspect to it, of course. Otherwise, you can move to some other country, right? So let's, I think, dive into some of the points that you have mentioned. I think, you said there were certain goals in mind, or, you have waited for 3 years. Maybe you can, talk a little bit more, like, what was that you were thinking at that time? What is that you would like to achieve and what changed? So if you can talk to that, because somebody might be in a similar situation and how they can think through it. So that's why it could definitely help if you can walk through what's in your mind.
Tell you one thing, as in, so when we came to Canada, we had something in mind, a goal in mind, pretty much, right? Like we started studying, and I was like, you know what, I want to be successful. Like I want to have a house, I want to have a good car, like the American dream of all we talk about, pretty much, right? So that was the goal. When I say that I had a goal in mind, that was the goal in mind, that I want to be successful in Canada, because there are a lot of people who actually relies on me. There are a lot of people who supported me, and I want to make sure that I reach that goal. Whenever I say that this is my home, is because I still didn't achieve that goal, kind of thing, right? So for the first decade, we just worked towards achieving that goal. Anything, like we were like horses, basically, right? Anything around it, we never even see to bother, basically, as in, that, okay, is it too cold? Is it, the politics is way too bad, like the quality of life is way too bad. We didn't care at all. I was just concentrated on one thing, that I want to achieve this. So started working towards it. Took me a decade to kind of, reach to that point where we have our own house, we have, good cars, all that American dream, basically. But once I reached there, I started feeling that, okay, what now? Are we happy? That it comes to a point where everything you do is about money. And once you actually start getting that, like, you start thinking about, okay, now what's the quality of life, basically? And that's where I started thinking, as in, is it good enough?
Yeah.
Sure, it was just a thought initially. Second thing I started seeing is a lot of change, because, as I said, we were there for a long time. I started seeing a lot of change in North American culture, especially in Canada, and not just culturally. It's economically, politically, calculating pretty much every single thing, including taxes, the quality of life, the things that we have to give out, the things we gain, basically. So I had like a big chart that I made, kind of thing, to have my pros and cons about this. Then just to start with, I'm like, okay, at the same time, we started seeing the India actually started developing a lot. The quality of life, what we left 15 years before, it has changed dramatically here. So we always come to visit and everything, and we see that, okay, no, there are a lot of things change. First decision I made wasn't to move to India. The first decision I made is that I want to start looking at other options.
Yeah.
This is like, definitely we made something out of what we had in Canada, but unfortunately it wasn't viable. It wasn't something that we can live with for the longest time. So I'm like, no, like, I don't want to do this. I was thinking 10 years back, or 15 years, 20 years in, when we're old, how it's gonna go, kind of thing, right?
Yes.
So that's where we started kind of deciding, basically, that, you know what, I want to start looking at something else. I started looking at US, of course, that would be an obvious choice. But the one thing that always bothered me was H-1B. Even though we were Canadian citizens, you still have to go through, there is a TN visa, but again, it's a non-immigrant visa. And like, as an Indian or as a Gujarati, or maybe it's just my mindset, but I want stability. Like, I don't want that sword hanging over me, as in, like, you know what, that I leave US for even vacation and I cannot get back for any reason, XYZ. And look what's happening right now. So all this, like, we calculated, and I'm like, I don't think it's worth, because we are at that age, like, I don't want to take this kind of risk pretty much for our family. We started looking at Dubai. Was the second option. It was actually a very attractive option in a way, as in, it's still close to India. At the same time, there are a lot of things that we were looking for were checkmarked there. But there were also other things that kind of like bothered us as well. So, and this is like, again, family to family. So this is for me. There were a few things. And then I started looking into India, right? What I did, US, Dubai, and India, basically, I made a whole list of things, as in pros and cons and everything. And as I said, that 20% emotions with the Indian culture, and especially Ahmedabad for us, basically, that's where we grew up pretty much, right? So I started making all the list and everything. And at one point, it started making a little sense. I'm like, no, I think there is a possibility. And that's where the 3 years started.
Okay.
Pretty much, right? I started researching. Actually, you were one of the first ones a couple of years ago that I saw some of your videos from earlier expats who actually came here. There are like the group that we joined pretty much, right? There are a lot of questions being answered and everything. So it started giving us a little clarity, a little by little. But again, I'm a calculative person.
And most importantly, it's kind of started to give the idea that we are not the only one thinking in this direction, right? Because
Exactly.
such idea pops in your head, you feel like, okay, we might be the odd one out here. There is no way, because you know what reaction people are still very square when it comes to the idea of moving back to India. We still get those questions asked, like, okay, wow,
Yes.
how can you come back from Canada, right? So that your group, your videos and everything kind of gave us this entire picture very clear that, okay, no, we are not alone. There are a lot of more people out there who is thinking about it, who has already actioned on it. So that actually kind of gave us a lot of support.
Yeah, but the second thing, actually, to add on to that point, before we forget, like there are two things. I thought the society would be a little different, as in like, why did you came back kind of thing, as in like, oh, are you stupid or something? Who would live a luxury lifestyle like that to come back? Even in Canada, I thought like my friends, my colleagues would actually react something very similar, but it was a very different reaction. I never, oh my God, I've never imagined that I would get this much positive reaction from even my peers, my friends, my colleagues who has never seen India whatsoever, who's actually Canadian, and the family, friends, extended family, anyone we know, even like the random dude, like I don't know, and I'm talking to on the road kind of thing. They're like, no, best decision you made. India is best. Like, so it's changing. It's not what we used to remember kind of thing. The biggest problem, so coming back to the point, so yes, it gave me a little motivation that, you know what, yeah, this is a viable option. It still didn't mean that like I actually kind of like removed the other two possibilities. But what we did is like we came to India in a couple of years back to make sure that I actually grasped that reality, right? Like now I'm coming to India with a different mindset. I'm coming to India to see the problems. I'm looking for issues that I can come across kind of thing now, right? So we came back here, and again, like I had a huge note. I had a Walmart receipt on one page saying I bought onions, or we bought milk at this price in Canada. Like I'm doing my grocery list. I'm writing down everything to make sure I know the current prices, because one thing I noticed this 2 years back is when I changed my mindset when I came back, that the mindset we had of India was 15 years old.
Yes.
And that's, I think, one of the mistakes a lot of people does is they think that India is what they left, and that's not the reality. It's a completely different ballgame.
And if you may allow me to add into this, it's the idea it will be unfathomable for them to find out the fact, because what happens is when they come, they just visit the same surrounding, they meet the same people, they probably go to the same restaurant, right? So there are little small aspects, but if you explore, if you visit out of the box, if the areas that you're so used to, if you kind of step out of those areas and then you meet and interact with people, that's where you will explore the fact that no, I mean, those are not the only area. There are a lot of more development has happened. If we talk about real estate wise, if we talk about the companies that is investing in India, the corporate world, everything is, it's bombarding right now. The development is bombarding, and with the development, the mind development, the thoughts also developing of the people of India who has been here and who maybe hasn't stepped out of India, but their viewpoint, the way they look at the life has definitely changed.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And that's what we noticed pretty much, right? It's a whole different ballgame here. So my things to do when we visit was pretty much that: get an idea about a living cost, a basic living cost, first of all. Get an idea about if the other cities are options, because what I wanted to do is I wanted to have like 3 cities, as a backup. Again, we are attached to our hometown, and Gujarat basically. But in India, like every 100 kilometers, the whole vibe changed, the culture changed pretty much, right? So it's very vibrant in that manner. So we wanted to make sure, me being in IT and sales, I wanted to make sure that we also try to check out the other, cities to create that calculated decision of where to go.
Yeah.
Right. So we did all the calculations and everything. We visited different cities, including Bangalore, for an example, to make sure that we understand. Now, the one thing that everyone would have in their mind who have worked in India before is Indian work culture.
Yeah.
And that's what was a big con in my list, pretty much: the pay, the work culture, and everything. As in, like, hey, is it still the same what we remember from 15 years back, that where you're working like 14, 15 hours a day, and you are still kind of like, there's no personal life aspect, say. And I'm like, we are going there for a better life. I don't want that for us if that's happening again, and that would be a big red flag, kind of thing, right? So we started, what we did is basically, we started looking around, especially for her, is because for me, I know there are a couple of things that I wanted to do. So I was clear in that sense. For her, what we did is we went to Bangalore. There, actually, she's from hotel industry, hospitality. So we started looking into some of the hotels, like hotels where we were staying, like Marriott and stuff. We started talking to some of the directors there, as in like, okay, can you give us a little bit of hint? We started talking to not people that we know, but the people we met over LinkedIn or something, to make sure that we actually get the honest opinion. No sugar-coated stuff pretty much here, right? From their point of view, we got to know that it has changed a lot. Not just in Bangalore, even in Ahmedabad. Like she talked to a few people in Ahmedabad as well, and it has changed a lot. I would say, is it up to the mark with the North American culture? Maybe not. Maybe there are still places to improve, but it's not something I can consider as a red flag.
Yeah.
They still care about work-life balance, and a lot of other things, pretty much like the perks. The pace has been improved dramatically as well. So that was a big red flag I was worried about, and that was something that I'm like, okay, this is something that is not a bother anymore as of yet. Then quality of life. I actually went through, as I said, like in Ahmedabad, we went through some of the places. We met a few people, again, out of our group, to make sure that we understand what's going on, what's not. And I calculated a budget based on that. Like, okay, this is what we need to earn if we want to maintain the same lifestyle we have in Canada.
Yeah.
And it was significantly less than what I thought initially.
And that idea was very clear in our head, that we don't want to kind of compromise in that particular area of how our day-to-day life is, whether it's about buying a grocery or buying a choice of the cheese that we like. So we wanted to make sure that area, we are not compromising at all. Our day-to-day life should be very similar to what we had in Canada.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that is my first preference, because we work very hard to achieve something. I don't want to compromise on that just for other things, pretty much, right? So comfort and certain things was like a very key aspect for me, and I created a budget that, okay, this is what we want. We went back with a lot of knowledge, and then I started doing my research again. At this point, we still hadn't decided that if we want to do this or not. Then about, I think it was like 8 months in, I think 8 or 9 months in, I was done with my research, and I'm like, you know what, this is making sense now to me. But again, being calculative, I'm like, no, I don't want to do this, as in like, okay, let's just get rid of everything and just move there and we'll figure it out. So my plan was basically that our marriage was very strong at that point, and I was able to take this decision with her help specifically, is that you go there first, right? You go there first, get a job. Let's see, what struggles you actually face and everything. Go through that job culture for 6 months, and then I'll join if there is no red flags.
Yeah.
Right. Now, the point was where to go. We went to different cities and everything, but for some reason for us, because we grew up in Ahmedabad was comfort zone. And to achieve what I wanted, that comfort, that family closer and everything, Ahmedabad was the only place I can think of, right? So I'm like, okay, we are deciding to start with Ahmedabad. And then I put deadlines. If it doesn't happen, we're going to give this a try. We're going to give this a try. We're going to give this city a try. And then I had 3 backup plans. If it doesn't work out, you come back and we'll continue this. Maybe our plan was flawed. We'll revisit this and then we'll try again, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But at least one thing is we have our income here. Like my job was safe there. I was doing everything. I was setting up other things in parallel as well. And that is the risk we are taking, kind of thing, pretty much, right? So she came here, and of course, like you know about the whole thing. I think she mentioned like when she came here and everything. 6 months in, she actually got the job within 10, 15 days.
15 days.
Yeah,
I
15 days of landing.
I had like 3 or 4 interviews lined up, and I secured a job in 15 days. So I gave like 4 interviews, and not that I was rejected, but I chose which one I wanted to go for.
Yeah. Because and that is another thing for hospitality. If anyone's watching, there is a lot of chances here. There is no doubt about that. What we saw, there are a lot of opportunities, and it's not restricted to a particular city or anything. The pay culture has actually improved a lot in IT. Of course, for me, like I was thinking that I'm restricted maybe in Bangalore or Mumbai, for an example, or Noida, kind of thing, right? And that is still maybe the case. There are not many opportunities out there. With remote jobs and everything, it makes it a lot easier. But again, like I'm sharing this, that being in Ahmedabad was a big part of my decision making, is because again, friends and family were very close by and everything. I didn't have to worry about her being here, kind of thing, pretty much, right? So she came here 6 months, 15 days in, like she got a job. She started the job 6 months in. Again, it's a very premature calculation, but still it actually gave us the idea that no, the work culture is still not the same and we can survive just fine. At that point, I decided, no, this is actually the time for me to wrap everything up. I started wrapping everything up and, moved, and it's been a year.
Fantastic. Thank you for sharing all the details. Such a pragmatic person. I think, just making sure everything, there is like a backup to backup plan, like 3, getting all the information, doing the research, making sure. I think this is most of the most pragmatic, I think, the plan that I have heard, where someone actually spent time, like, also like revisiting some of the assumptions that you have, right? Like where you asked Amisha to go and even like, make sure the work culture is to what you were expecting, and also getting the information from non-friends, actual. So thanks for sharing all the details. I think there are a lot of nuggets that people can follow if they definitely have that flexibility and the time and, the options there.